Okay, so what is a vector? Well, a vector essentially has size, okay, or magnitude, we say, okay. Instead of size, we use the word magnitude and direction, okay. So in this case here, it's got direction because it's taking us this way, right? The arrow describes the direction we're going in, okay. And it's got magnitude as well because actually the length of the vector actually determines sort of how far we're going, yeah. So the size of it. Now, in terms of describing it, well, this vector we give a name, and literally there's two ways of naming this particular vector. We could call it OA, okay. Now, a couple of things to note here, really important. In the exam papers and the sheets that you've got here, okay, this will be bolded to describe the vector, okay. Bolded is a way of explaining vectors, to sort of naming vectors. You see them bolded. That's the sort of character of it. That's the notation that's used. Now we can't write with bold, okay? So what we do is we put an arrow above it, the header, and an arrow is important because it sort of shows us that there's a direction to it, yeah. And we are directed from O to A, okay, with the arrow going there from O to A. Now, had the arrow be going the other way, I'd have to write this the other way around, wouldn't I? I'd have to say AO, AO, because the arrow is always pointed to the right, and we'd be starting at A then ending at O. But in this case, of course, it starts at O, ends at A, so what I've done here is correct. Now, that's one way of naming the vector. Sometimes as well, they actually give us a little letter here to describe what that vector is, okay? Or sometimes there's a combination of little letters, and it'll be quite clear in the question. In this case, though, it's little a. Again, in exam papers and tests, it's bolded, so we can't do that. So what we do is then we just underline it, okay? Underline it to show that it's a vector. You've got to underline them there. And just remember with vector that the arrow represents the direction it's going in, okay? And the length of it represents the magnitude of the vector, okay? Now, we won't always use that, okay, because often vectors aren't drawn to scale and we won't be focusing on that, but effectively, you know, that's how we can compare vectors, by looking at their lengths.